The night of November 13th, 2022, began like any other for four University of Idaho students. That quiet evening turned into something unimaginable when they were found murdered in their off-campus home. What happened next captured a nation. Have you ever wondered what drives someone to commit a crime so senseless and horrifying? That's exactly what the Idaho Four explores in chilling detail. Stay until the end, and you'll see the human story behind the headlines and maybe understand what made a brilliant young criminology student become a killer. James Patterson teamed up with investigative journalist Vicki Ward to write The Idaho Four, An American Tragedy, released in July 2025. Patterson is a best-selling author known for both thrillers and nonfiction, while Ward brings deep investigative experience. Together, they conducted over 300 interviews with family, friends, investigators, and community members to piece together a story that goes beyond crime scenes and courtrooms. This book matters because it honors the victims, the investigators, and the community, while probing what went wrong in one young man's mind. At its core, the book shows that obsession, entitlement, and isolation can turn intelligence into tragedy, and that understanding who these victims and the killer were matters more than sensational headlines. In the following minutes, you'll hear the book's key lessons framed through the victims and the killer, how ordinary people make sense of horror, and how investigative work can build meaning from chaos. Each segment includes a story and one simple way to engage these ideas. First, we meet the victims. Maddie Mogan, Kaylee Goncalves, Zana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were vibrant college students with plans, careers, dreams, and a tight community on King Road in Moscow, Idaho. They were taken from their lives in the wee hours of the morning. Patterson and Ward spent time with their families and friends to bring their personalities and hopes alive beyond news clips. They remind us that true crime is also human tragedy. You can apply this by listening to stories behind headlines, remembering victims as people, not statistics. Next, the book examines the killer, Brian Kohberger, a criminology PhD student at Washington State University. He was described as intelligent, isolated, troubled, and possibly influenced by misogynistic ideology similar to Elliot Rodger. He reportedly visited the victim's area dozens of times before the murders and may have fixated on Maddie specifically. The lesson is that obsession can escalate when isolation meets entitlement. As a takeaway, consider the warning signs of fixation and remind yourself that empathy and connection interrupt dangerous patterns. Then, the investigation itself reveals how police and prosecutors turned uncertainty into closure. Authorities tracked phone data, surveillance footage, eyewitness testimony, and finally, the critical mistake Kohberger made, leaving a knife sheath with his DNA near a body. Patterson and Ward detail both law enforcement's successes and missteps. The lesson is that justice often depends on meticulous detail, patience, and rigorous process. You can apply this by valuing careful fact-gathering in your own work or community and resisting shortcuts. Another major idea is the enduring ambiguity of motive. Kohberger pleaded guilty to 4 life sentences but refused to fully explain why he killed. That absence of motive leaves a haunting emptiness for victims' families and the public alike. Not every story has closure. The book teaches us that some questions remain unanswered. You can apply it by practicing compassion toward unresolved grief and accepting that meaning sometimes emerges only in memory. A final point is the book's broader context about societal trends. Ward and Patterson draw parallels between Kohberger and other incel mass killers, including Elliot Rodger, noting patterns like social isolation, misogyny, obsession, and entitlement. They examine how online subcultures glorify violence and how loneliness can warp perception. To apply this, think about your own community connections. If someone seems isolated or angry, step in with conversation, support, or care. As we move toward closure, you've heard how this tragedy began with 4 promising young lives cut short. You've seen how obsession twisted brilliance into violence, and how investigation brought facts to light. You felt the frustration of missing motive and the importance of remembering victims as people, not headlines. Taken together, these lessons remind us that true crime is more than gore and spectacle. It's about empathy, justice, understanding, and preventing darkness when possible. If you want to dive deeper, read the full book, The Idaho Four by James Patterson and Vicky Ward. Inside, you'll get the complete narrative of these 4 students, their families, the investigation, and the context around the killer's psychology. If true crime with heart, justice, and context matters to you, check out related works on criminal behavior, incel ideology, and investigative justice. And before you go, reflect on what justice means when motive remains unknown.